You're listening to Sweep the League.
Hey, this is George Iceman Gervin, and you're listening to Sweep the League Radio.
It is Monday night. It is the pre-draft eve of the NBA draft coming up on Wednesday. San Antonio Spurs fans are excited. Some are fighting on social media, but tonight we're going to go over not just Spurs prospects, but we're going over future NBA prospects because the draft is Wednesday. Of course, we're going to get to some Spurs questions if you got them. I'm joined by the one and only Derrick Gervin is back with us on Sweep the League. And the man, the myth, the legend himself. Don't give me the head shake. He is the college basketball guru of Project Spurs. He's been with me once. He's been with me twice. He's going to be with me on draft night again. We're going to make that whole show go. It is Ben Bornstein, the Boomstein himself. Ben, what is up, man?
Like you said, we're two nights away from the draft now. Oof, they changing up the schedule, changing up my entire life now. It's great. It's fantastic. You know, it's just everything I asked for. 2 nights and 2 rounds.
Oh, I know, man. Actually, we're just going to cover the first round. I can't go the second round because if I do, my wife's going to start filing for a divorce, and I don't want to get a divorce. I want to stay married, man. So, you know, the good thing is that you and I, we were not drafted to the NBA, Ben, but Derrick was. So he can give us the insight on being drafted because for whatever reason, no NBA team wanted me back in '97 when I graduated from high school. Apparently some guy named Tim Duncan was a pretty good basketball player then. I guess he's better than me. So, I mean, Derrick, as far as draft night comes around, man, what advice would you have to the draft picks coming out on Wednesday night? Because it's an exciting night and it's a life-changing experience for a lot of these guys.
Well, for me, first, I want to say good evening to everybody. Man, Rudy, I tell you, when I first came out of UTSA, I left a year early to go into the draft. And, you know, I had listened to some people. They had me projected as a late first-round pick. Coming out of UTSA. So things didn't pan out like I hoped they would, but I tell you, just the process itself and teams being interested in you, man, and you waiting on that phone call, it's a life-changing moment. I mean, even for the guys that don't go, say, in the top 15, it's a life-changing moment. Your name, you get more notoriety than you've ever gotten. Some guys that were at the bottom, I'll say, guys that, like guys like Bronny James. These are guys you didn't hear a lot about during their college career. We heard about Bronny because of his dad, LeBron James. But it gives a lot of guys the opportunity that they've never had before. It gives a lot of parents out here something to look forward to. It lets them know that all the hard work and all the money they spent for all these AAU tournaments and grassroots tournaments and EYBL tournaments, it was well worth the money, and it's a life-changing experience.
Yeah, it definitely is life-changing, man. It's going to be a fantastic night, Wednesday night, as Sweep the League is going to be live for the first round of the NBA draft. We're going to do a pre-draft show. We're going to be live again for the actual draft. Now, just a quick side note there. We are under time constraints, so if we run out of time, don't worry. We're going to jump right back onto the draft. It's the way StreamYard works, man. But we're also going to do a post-draft show as well for you guys. So we got you covered wall to wall. You want to stay home, mute ESPN, and watch us for all the analysts and all of our takes. Definitely do that. Ben, before we get into the draft, I want to let everybody know that everyone's got to stick around to the end of the show because – we got Derrick, and Derrick's going to be on quite a bit from here on out. I know that for a fact, but we finally get to show our tribute and our appreciation for Derrick Gervin. So glad we got him on a Monday. It's draft week. Obviously, like I said, drafted into the NBA. We've got a little special tribute for him at the end, Ben. But first and foremost, man, I got to make a quick, big announcement because this is going to be your show, Ben. But we would like to welcome La Cocina Food Truck officially to Sweep the League because not only do they join MCS, La Cocina is joining everybody now. So we're sponsored by La Cocina Food Truck. MCS General Contracting. We are growing. That's the big thing. We're going to be as big as Ben when it comes to celebrity status. What is up, Sid? Good evening, man. Mario Cavazos, what up, gents? Mario wants to know if we can all just get along. I want to all just get along on Twitter. We all want to get along on Twitter, man. What's up, Trey? Good evening, guys. And then he says Bronny needs to stay one more year. We'll get into the Bronny talk here in a little bit. Appreciate it, Trey. Definitely thank you for the congrats, man. But we're going to get right into it, man. We got to get into some draft talk here. So, of course, it is draft talk. So let's get this draft talk started here. So the NBA draft is Wednesday night. Obviously, until we see some moves being made, you know, the Atlanta Hawks are sitting at number 1, Washington at 2, Houston at 3, Spurs at 4. We're concentrating on the top 4 picks right now. Personally, if they all end up selecting 1 through 4, I know we've heard the Spurs being talked about trying to get up to number 1. If they're doing that, Alex Sarr is probably the popular choice at 1 for the Spurs, but I still think regardless if the Spurs get to 1 or Atlanta's picking, I'm sitting right now at Donovan Clingan going in at number 1 from UConn. For me with Atlanta, it makes a lot of sense. Clint Capella is probably not going to be there come next season. They're going to need a big man. They're going to need an anchor for that team. They're probably going to end up keeping either DeJounte or Trey. One of those guys will be moved. One guy will stay. So it makes sense to get a nice pick and roll guy for one of those guys. You're talking about Donovan Clingan, who reminds me a lot of Jakob Poeltl. He can finish inside the basket. Very great rim protector. I think that's what the foundation is going to be for Atlanta if they pick. I'm taking Clingan at 1. Ben, how are you feeling at 1 if Atlanta stays there?
Wow. Well, I think if Atlanta stays there, they're going to make the wrong pick regardless, because I'm at the point where I am not sure this front office can be trusted. They've made some really weird decisions and really weird trades. And I don't, whatever they do, I'm not sure it's going to be the right pick. I'm not convinced it's going to be the right. It could be Ricochet. It could be Alex Sarr. It could be Clingan. It doesn't matter. I think whatever pick they make, it's going to be the wrong one. For me, if I'm the Hawks, though, I have the same vein as you. You know, you're talking about Clingan, 7'2", protects the rim, good lob threat. You know, not super athletic, not as athletic as Clint Capella, certainly, but you do have to plan for a future without Clint Capella if you're the Atlanta Hawks. You're not going to be able to pay all these guys the next few years, even with the salary cap going up the way it is. So a Clingan, not a bad idea. I think a lot of people are sold on them taking Alex Sarr. I've seen a lot of mock drafts recently kind of pop off with Zachary Ricochet. So this year is truly a toss-up. There's no way to know what the Hawks are going to do. The Hawks are they're just as likely to make the pick as they are to trade it away.
Yeah.
That's what kind of draft we're dealing with.
Yeah, and as you guys can see before we get to Derrick, this is going to be kind of how it is on NBA Draft Night. We're going to have player profiles. Right now we've got probably the top 50 players already profiled. Well, 51. We had to throw Bronny James because I feel there's going to be a wrench thrown somewhere in that first round. So we've got the top 51 players. These are the kind of player profiles you're going to see. We're going to provide you some pros and cons for each player, give them their stats, especially their measurements in college or international play. So that's kind of what you're going to be seeing. This is Donovan Clingan right now. We're talking to Ben Bornstein and what got Derrick Gervin as well. Derrick, if Atlanta stays at 1, do you see them kind of solidifying on if it's going to be Clingan or Sarr? Because this is probably the one draft in a while where it's pretty much a toss-up. I mean, I've even seen guys like Stephon Castle being talked about at number 1 because there's a potential possibility that both Young and Murray could be gone. But if Atlanta stays at 1, Derrick, how do you feel the Hawks are going to go there?
For me, I heard you guys talk about Clingan and these big guys and Sarr and Ricochet. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Ricochet.
He's French. Yeah.
But I'm feeling with all that we've been hearing about them moving possibly DeJounte Murray or Trae Young or possibly both. I thought that they would maybe be looking at a point guard. Quinn Snyder, what he played. And looking at him going back to his playing days at Duke and whatever, I would think that he would be a guy that wants a player that can come in, that can control an offense, can get the things done that he wants, can get people in the sets that they're supposed to be in. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go after a point guard. I understand them, looking at big men. But I just think we don't know what's going on with Trey or DeJounte. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Quinn Snyder want to bring in a point guard.
So being that they're in the point guard might be a good move for them there. I mean, of course, if they end up moving from both Murray and Young, and like I said, Clint Capella is being rumored to just not be there at the end of the year. So if you're going complete rebuild, are we talking about possibly, I mean, Reece RCA is a playmaker. I mean, he could be going at one to Atlanta if they're going to move on from both. Then you got guys like Stephon Castle, but also you might even see maybe Trey being moved, DeJounte being moved. They're going to probably get some more picks. That's a very interesting thing right there, because it's tough to say if they end up moving both guys, then it's pretty much just a toss-up on where they can go, I'm assuming.
And what about, you guys tell me this because we got the guru on here. What about is Rob Dillingham worthy of being a first pick?
That's tough. I don't think I've seen many drafts with him going above 4 or 5. So we've got the stats up here. We've got the measurements up here. Very good shooter, can run your offense. He's actually very good at creating his own shot. And he had to do that a lot for Kentucky when they just were not running any sets and they needed a shot at the end of the shot clock. He was usually the guy taking that shot, but he's small. He's 6'1", like you see here. It is hard to justify taking a guy at that size unless he is very clearly, another world point guard or even a potential all-star point guard. With this draft, it is really hard to see any of these guys being definite all-stars in the future.
Yeah,
I think this draft has maybe a lot of high-level role players. I think it has some solid starters. It may have all-stars when it's all said and done. But it's hard to envision that with just the way the college basketball season was, and with so many guys coming from overseas, and with the amount of guys who played in the G League. And they played for an Ignite team that was really bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were atrocious even by G League standards. And it's just hard to evaluate those guys and how they level up to the NBA.
Yeah, and that's
I'd be scared about doing that one.
Go ahead, Eric.
Ben, I got a quick question for you. So I've been thinking about this for the last several months now.
Oh boy.
So are we seeing the resurgence of the big man?
I think yes, but with a caveat. It's the resurgence of the big man, but a more mobile big man who isn't just back to the basket, who isn't solely a rim protector. When you're talking about kind of the bigs in this draft, I mean, Klingon very much that archetype, that stereotype of big, doesn't necessarily move too well, moves well at his size. Again, you're talking 7'2" at about 280. The man is a mountain, okay? And he looks great in college because you can sit in a zone and you can play 2-3 zone and you can funnel everybody to him at the rim. You can't do that as much in the NBA, but even, there's talk about Zach Edey being a first-round pick.
That's why I asked. You took it out of my mouth, sir. That's why I brought it up, because I was gonna get to Zach Edey, because we've been hearing about him at first. Sound like he was maybe not even going to be drafted, and now we heard about Miami Heat might be interested. The Lakers, this team might be interested. That's why I asked you if we were seeing maybe somewhat is changing, more Rudy Gobert type guys. Big, I won't call them lumberjacks, but big guys that aren't as mobile. And that's why I brought it up, Klingon and Zach Edey.
Well, and I would say Alex Sarr. I mean, he's a 7'1" guy, but he runs the floor like a gazelle. So you're talking about a very mobile big man, and I think there's a very clear role for him in the NBA. That's a guy who can rim run for you. He's going to protect the rim for you. He's going to have to put on a little bit of weight, but that's the case with most guys in their first year in the league. So I think he's very exciting. I mean, Ricochet is not really a big man. He's more of a wing, but there are some guys in this draft who are big men who could be pretty exciting. I would love to see Zach Edey get taken in the first round. I just think he's a phenomenal basketball player. And you want to talk about kind of a stereotypical big. If you watched any of his play at Purdue, he was phenomenal with his back to the basket. He had 2 or 3 go-to moves. He had a counter for those moves. He was so much fun to watch. That was the stuff that made me remember kind of 90s NBA basketball. Mm-hmm. Shaq, Chris Dudley,
Brad Daugherty,
Sean.
Chris Dudley.
No, it wasn't. No, I'm thinking of Sean. Sean Bradley is who I'm thinking of. Bradley.
Chris is fine. Chris was my teammate, so I didn't mind you saying Chris.
Oh, fantastic! Even better.
Awesome, man. Hey, real quick, Locked On Spurs, Jeff Garcia Zoes, asking the Locked On NBA Network, they completed their first round of the NBA draft. And Jeff does draft for the San Antonio Spurs, obviously, with Locked On Spurs. He said Reece Archier fell to number 4, so he selected him. He also took Dalton Connect, who's my number 2 on my big board for the San Antonio Spurs at number 8. He said, by the way, Locked On Hawks took Klingon at 1. You know, the side about the Dalton connecting, I want to get into that later because what I've always been saying is that my 3 guys, and they have not changed for the San Antonio Spurs. My big board for the San Antonio Spurs right now is Stephon Castle 1, Dalton Connect at 2, and then Tejan Saloon at 3. Those are my top 3 guys who I feel at 4 and 8, that's where they can go right there. I see a lot of Devin Carter, but I think at that 8 spot, you're going to be able to get a running mate with Wemby and a Tejan Saloon if he's there, or you're going to get a massive sharpshooter with Dalton Connect, which is something the Spurs need. They need some shooters there. So those are the 2 guys I see at 8. I think Castle at 4 is not necessarily a lock, but it makes more sense for them. So appreciate Jeff for joining in. A couple more comments here. Tim Gonzalez, what is up, fellas? So real quick, before I go to commercial break, Ben, flipping McCain, obviously he's a big Duke fan, Tim Gonzalez. Do you think Flipkowski and McCain go in the first round? I know Flipkowski has been talked about, but more in the later part of the first round. But McCain is one of those wild cards where I can kind of see him going in the first round, kind of even as a reach in the maybe teens, late teens, but I still have him at a late first round, early second. What do you see with these 2 guys?
I'll say that about Filipowski. I will say I think going back to school for a year benefited him greatly. Mm-hmm. I think he was much more a leader of that Duke team. I think he rounded out his game better. I think he got a little tougher. Shooting got a little better. He's a bit of a more mobile big man. He still has some back to the basket game, but he can step out and shoot. And I think the skills like that makes him a first round lock. Probably not a lottery pick, but certainly a first round lock. With Jared McCain, I like his game. He was, as a freshman, he was very confident. Not to the point of being cocky, I would say, but he was very confident. And he knows what he's about. He's got that maturity that the Spurs kind of like to see. I'm not saying they would take him at 8. That's a huge reach. But for Jared McCain, he's also a little bit on the shorter side as a guard in this day and age of the NBA game. But he's a guy who can go in the first round. If there's a team out there, he's a good fit. They really liked his workout. They liked his interview. I think he's kind of fringe first, second round. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes late first. I also wouldn't be surprised if he falls to the second. And, you can probably say that about a lot of guys in this draft. But for me, I would say later end of the first round for Jared McCain. And again, it would probably require a team to have a need and a good fit for him. And the timelines would have to match up where they can say, we don't need you to be our starting point guard right now, but we see what you can become. And we have a couple of years, we have the patience for you to develop and get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I see McCain going. I see McCain probably early second rounder, but it is definitely a fit for a team. They're going to have to kind of need that position in order for him to be drafted. But Wesley Perkins, who's a listener of the show, he asked kind of earlier on Twitter, he feels that this isn't going to be a bad draft. And I kind of said exactly what Ben, and I'm going to reiterate it, I kind of said what he said earlier, that this draft is going to be more of a role player draft. You're going to see a ton of role players. And in the NBA, role players are key, as you've seen in some title runs, and a lot of title runs. I mean, the NBA role players are in a huge demand, and this is the kind of draft. I see a couple of guys making an all-star team. And when I say that, I don't say that with much excitement because, I mean, come on, Christian Laettner was an all-star at one time. So, I mean, there's times that a player can have a good season and they can make an all-star team. Some of these guys will probably end up making an all-star team. If you think about it, a lot of the other guys, you know, LeBron and these guys are getting older. So you have a new generation coming up. You're going to see some of these guys excel at their position. Some might make an all-star team, but we shall soon find out. We got more with Ben here and Derrick Gervin. We're talking NBA draft. It is 2 days away. Again, Sweep the League is going to be with you live in the first round. We're going to have a massive Wednesday night for you guys. We're going to be giving away prizes, and one of the prizes we're going to announce, we'll probably announce later on. So I need y'all to pay attention to that. It's going to be during our tribute to Derrick Gervin at the end of the show. So please stick around.
Oh, wow.
This is Sweep the League. We'll get to some of your comments on the way back. We'll be right back, guys. This is Ben Bornstein, Derrick Gervin, Rudy Campos Jr., Sweep the League. We'll be right back.
Wow.
A family is just like your home. It starts with a great foundation. MCS General Contracting can make sure your foundation is off to a perfect start. Whether you're wanting to build a pool, expand a patio, or build a driveway, MCS General Contracting should be your only call. They provide top-notch customer service and will stand by their work 100% of the time. Why trust the rest when you can just call the best? Build the best foundation now for your home and your family, because a good foundation is the perfect start to a happy life. Contact MCS General Contracting today at 210-774-9155. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Digital rich. Shout out to MCS General Contracting. Again, man, if you're, like I put in that commercial, building a foundation is perfect. Whether it's your family life or even your home life, a good foundation is important. You got to go to the best in the business. That's MCS General Contracting. Give those boys a call out there. I'll shout out to La Cocina Food Truck. Both are sponsors of Sweep the League. We got the La Cocina premiere commercial. We launched one of them, but we got another La Cocina Food Truck commercial that'll be coming up in our next break. Shout out to those two companies. We're humbled by them. They're going to be proud sponsors of Sweep the League. And they're also bringing you the NBA draft, which is going to be on Wednesday night. Myself, Ben, hopefully Derrick can join us for the NBA draft for a little bit. We got a couple people actually lined up for NBA draft talk as well. Again, that'll be Wednesday night here on Sweep the League. Shout out real quick to Sports Insanity Network. Sweep the League's being broadcast Sports Insanity Network, Derrick. That means we're up in the New York State area, New York. We're being broadcast in Brooklyn. We're being broadcast everywhere on the Northeast Coast. And Shemaya Reed, good friend Shemaya Reed, producer of the show, I Am Refocused Radio. We are part of the I Am Refocused Network. He's had some massive interviews. Cuba Gooding Jr., just to name one. So yeah, we're a part of that. We're growing, Ben. Since I was little Rudy, now I'm kind of big Rudy. I'm getting to your level now, but yeah, that is Sweep the League, part of all of these networks here. We're getting into some NBA draft talk. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Ben can get to them. Derrick can get to them. I can get to them. But I'm sure everybody's here for these two guys. That is 100% here. We're talking at number one. We talked about number one. Now, the Wizards at number two, if I'm having them take Klingon at one, then this guy's only worked out for Washington, apparently. So he kind of is forcing his hand in a way to get there. That is one Alex Sarr, a power forward out of France. This is a kid that's kind of becoming the name when it comes to everything in the draft. Apparently, he was the number one pick, for a while there, when I told a lot of people, hey, the number one pick is just going to be whoever it is that night. We don't have any idea. But Alex Sarr, 9.6 points per game, 1.5 blocks, 4.5 rebounds. 19 years old. Ben, Alex Sarr, is he really ready for the NBA life? Because I kind of still see a little things where I'm not happy with Alex Sarr right now.
Welcome to the club. That would be probably a lot of people who've been watching him and scouting him. He's, again, this class, man, it's infuriating. But he has these moments where, he gets out, he runs the floor, gets a really nice finish. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, I can see his role. I can see what he can become in the NBA. And then there are moments where you're thinking to yourself, what did I just watch? Is this guy is supposed to be an NBA player? It's crazy. It's why, like, you know, in draft years past, your top 5 picks generally, they don't generally make that many bad plays or good plays. They're usually very middle of the road, or they're making good plays. They don't generally have a whole lot of bad plays to look on. I mean, you know, every prospect is going to have their warts. That's fine. That's to be expected. But this draft especially, you have to, as a GM, as someone who is making a decision in this draft, you have to be comfortable with those warts, and you have to decide, are they big enough issues that I'm not going to draft this guy at this pick, whatever pick I have? Do I need to pass on him at that pick? It's hard. It's really hard, especially with a guy like Alex Sarr. He's playing overseas. The competition is not as good. It's a little harder to gauge. It's not like college basketball. It's not even like the G League. So you have to take his game in the context of who he's playing against, how good that competition is or how bad it is. And, you know, what are your expectations for him in that setting?
Gotcha.
That part,
Rudy,
that's probably the hardest part.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Rudy, can I ask Ben a question?
Yeah, go for that.
Ben, is it more of a question for Alex? Because for me, I've been kind of worried about his motor, and it's not even so much his skill set. Is it more so like looking at a veteran like a DeAndre Ayton? You know, Phoenix basically moved him not because of his skill set, but because of his motor. He might show up Monday, he might not show up Tuesday. Is that what you kind of see what we're dealing with when it comes to why they have so many questions about Alex Sarr?
I think that may be some of it. I think they'd like to see him run hard all the time. And I think they'd like to see him go after rebounds more often. I mean, you're talking about a guy, he's listed here at 6'11". I think in shoes, for what it's worth, he's 7'1". He's got a 7'4" wingspan, and you're only averaging 4.5 rebounds. It is a little troubling, just purely from a statistical standpoint, not even if you've gotten really into watching the film and watching every possession of him, which I haven't quite done that. I'm not that crazy, not yet anyway. I'll let you know when I go hide under a rock and tell everybody to go away. But I will say, I think there are not many players in this draft, I would say, who have a motor that's always going. That's not to say they're not good players. It's not to say they don't play hard. But I could name, and I'd have to double check, but there's maybe 3 or 4 guys in this draft where they are relentless every single second they're on the court. Alex Sarr is not that guy, and he hasn't needed to be that guy. And, I don't know why. I don't know if it's he doesn't want to risk injury. I don't know if it's the coaching staff is saying anything to him. We don't know. But there have been times where you're watching a play and you'd like to see him work a little harder in that play. And I also just think there's a lot of other questions. I mean, you're talking about the shot selection. I mean, you've got some of the cons here, right? He shoots a lot of jumpers, has to progress as a decision maker. And maybe depending on what team you are, you're not putting in a position to be a decision maker, so it may not matter. But it's, again, the evaluation process, very hard, especially in a year where there is no clear-cut number one. There's no clear-cut top tier of players in this draft.
Yeah, that's kind of the clear thing is like a lot of people need to understand that this draft is so unknown. Basically, you're basically walking into this draft, and if you're the Hawks, the Wizards, the Rockets, even the Spurs, I guarantee you the Spurs probably still have no idea who they're going to pick at 4 or 8 because they may get a package somewhere in there that may think twice about maybe moving those picks. So I really am fully believing that no team is going into this draft fully knowing what they're going to do. I think it's going to come right up until that clock ends and they're like, okay, we've got to make a pick now. So that's how it's weird because it's in most cases a bad draft, but it's also a complicated draft because you don't have that clear-cut number one. Sarr was there. Then for 2 weeks, Reece Archier was there. Now you're hearing Klingon. You're hearing so many guys go everywhere.
And even before the season started, you were hearing Ron Holland.
Yeah, Holland's another one that
he's falling down draft boards because of his play in Ignite, and I think he has an injury as well. So there's a lot of factors, and all these teams. I'm sure they've sent guys overseas to scout whoever they need to scout. Mm-hmm. But in the end, it may not. It's funny. This draft may not be a good draft for drafting, but it may be a good draft to accumulate assets for future drafts.
Yeah, this is the asset part, but not only that, it's the role player draft. I mean, I have no doubt a lot of these guys are going to be role players, and they're going to be great role players. And when I say role players, that guy that's going to give you, 10-3 or, 15-4 or something like that, where they're going to come off the bench. Some of them can be starters. In fact, I think a lot of them might be able to be a starter in the league, but there's no clear-cut superstar. There's no clear-cut multi, 7, 8, 9-time All-Star. Anybody in this draft that I see as of right now, there's a couple of players who can possibly get to superstar status. Like they're knocking on the door, and we'll get into a couple of those guys in a little bit here. But Derrick, Tim Gonzalez, good friend of the show here, is asking kind of what we talked about at the beginning. If for those that are just joining in, he's wanting to know, what these young men are about to go through in the next 48 hours, knowing what team they're going to. Again, Ben and I weren't drafted for whatever reason. I have no idea. You were, Derrick, so you obviously know the process, man. If you want to give the background on it.
Tim, good question. It's hard to sleep, first of all, because you're stepping into something new. Your life is changing. As you know, these guys, a lot of them went to college, or they may have went to the G League or whatever, G League Ignite teams like that. But now it's basically you're going out into the workforce basically, and you're starting to get paychecks now. The G League guys got paid, but this is something totally new. Now you're going into a $1 billion industry, and I'm being nice saying just $1 billion. So you're going to have some sleepless nights because a lot of guys this year, they don't know what team they're going to. And usually at this point in the draft, 2 days before the draft, a lot of players have already been told they're going to be going to certain teams, and that's set in stone. But now with all these guys not knowing, I mean, man, you just imagine a lot of guys are taking Alka-Seltzer, whatever it may be. Cause you might want to be, say it's a guy that wants to be in a warm weather environment, a climate, but he has no clue. He might end up going somewhere like my hometown, Detroit, or, somewhere where there's cold weather. So it's going to be some adjustments that guys are going to have to make mentally. But the bottom line is these guys are this is something new for their lives. It's something that's going to make them, start building their legacy. And you just come out ready. And whatever, you have to remember this. The bottom line is you're getting drafted in the NBA. And that's the bottom line. I didn't care if I was going to Alcatraz if they had an NBA team there. So I'm just telling it like it is, man. You just prepare yourself. You just prepare yourself and stay positive. And wherever you go, you just try to make the best of it. And always remember to thank that team for even giving you the opportunity.
Well, I mean, if you're being drafted by the Spurs and Pop system, it might feel like Alcatraz most times running that hill, stuff like that he's got. So great question, Tim. Appreciate it. We've got more people in here. Apparently, Ben Wesley loves the beard, man. So you may want to keep that beard look going for you right there.
Yeah, well, the fiance loves it too. So I do not have a choice.
There you go. Happy wife, happy life, man. You got to seem like that, man. got a couple of questions. We're going to get to a quick commercial break. We got you guys questions. So, of course, we're talking about San Antonio Spurs, Sarr, Reece Archier, Castle. We'll get into that question on the way back here, Wes. Also, Ben, Tim wants to know how many ACC players do you think will go in the first round? We're going to give Ben a little bit of time to think about that. And when we come back, I'm going to reveal my top 12 picks on my mock draft. So I'm ready to get the tomatoes thrown at me by Ben and Derrick. because you mentioned Zach Edey. Can I do this? Because I actually have Zach Edey in the top 12. I'm going to explain why I have him in the top 12 when we come back. So, Ben, get those ACC guys ready. Derrick, get ready for that Spurs pick, because you know what? We're going to have you on the clock there when it comes to San Antonio Spurs, man. This is Sweep the League. We'll be right back in just a minute. Living in South Texas, we all love to eat, especially tacos. Oh boy, La Cocina Taco Truck should be your only stop every time. They are just a short drive away, located at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. There is no order too big or small for the staff to handle. Whether it's the ever so popular street tacos all the way to the amazing quesadillas, La Cocina will satisfy your appetite, guaranteed. Head over to see them at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. Make that short drive so you can be satisfied at La Cocina Taco Truck. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League. All right, shout out to La Cocina Food Truck again in New Braunfels. It's just a short drive. I mean, you want the best street tacos, you want the best quesadillas. I mean, we're in South Texas. Everybody wants the best. But you know what? New Braunfels is the hop, skip, and a jump away from San Antonio. Make that drive. Go to La Cocina Food Truck in New Braunfels. And shout out to MCS General Contracting, both great sponsors of Sweep the League. Also, we have other partners, Special Leaf Tea, great partners of Sweep the League. Burger Boy, Ben, when you ever come to San Antonio, we're going to have to get you some Burger Boy. Burger Boy has the absolute best hamburgers, voted best burgers in San Antonio again. Also, shouting out to Lids as well, and Mudslingers Coffee. Why do you take Mudslingers? Because life is too short for bland coffee. All right, guys. So, instead on the flip side, we're going to be doing some stuff. And Derrick, you saw a little bit of those shout outs to the Hall of Fame class over at UTSA, man. So we put a little bit of Hall of Fame love in there. I'm letting everybody know we got 67 people on the view on the live stream now. We gave it up one more. Stay to the end. We got the tribute to Derrick Gervin at the end. It is a little bit of a Hall of Fame tribute to Derrick. So we got a little something working up here. Louis, okay, so Louis, what's up, man? Your commercial, your newest updated commercial for La Cocina Food Truck did happen a little while ago. We'll play it again. Louis, appreciate your support and your sponsorship of Sweep the League, man. Love you very much. We are humbled. So let's get back into this here. All right, Derrick, for you, the Sarr Sarr Castle for the Spurs, I'm assuming that number 4. If you are Brian Wright sitting there, of these 3 guys, who would you like to see in silver and black?
For me, it will be Klingon, and the reason is because I played in New Jersey, so I'm very familiar with the Hurley family and their legacy, and I know what Danny Hurley brings to the table. So I know what kind of players he had around him. And Klingon is a guy, we talked about a motor. He's a guy that's going to go out there. Like you said, he reminds me of Jakob Poeltl as well. Mm-hmm. And that's never a bad thing. So for me, it would be Klingon. I just feel like he's a guy that's already proven himself. We know he's coming from a winner. And I just think right now the Spurs are trying to go towards an upward trend. And what better way to start when you have question marks than with a guy who's already proven himself and a guy that's already proven that he's a winner.
Man, a Klingon Wemby front court, that's pretty damn dominant if you think about it. Really nobody's going to score in the paint on those 2 guys. That's how good of a front court that would be. If we get Klingon to San Antonio. Ben, you had a question from Tim. He says, how many ACC players are going to go in the first round? ACC now, don't just hit me with the Carolina guys, because everyone should go number one if you go to North Carolina. That's just my opinion. But definitely don't have a whole lot of North Carolina in this draft. So we're going to allow other ACC teams to send their guys into the NBA this season. But how many ACC players do you see possibly going in the first round?
First of all, that's so generous of you. I think everybody really appreciates that. I think it's interesting. There's a few guys I could see popping into the first round, a few guys I could see getting bounced to the second. But I'm thinking 5, maybe. Talking Jared McCain, probably Bub Carrington from Pittsburgh, Ryan Dunn out of Virginia, Filipowski out of Duke. And, there's probably a wild card in there. I mean, if you technically want to include Bobby Klintman, who did start at Wake Forest, you could.
Yeah.
But if you don't want to include him, you're probably talking about Keyshawn George out of Miami. I would say those are probably the guys who are going in the first round.
Yeah, it's going to be tough because the ACC, I see them coming in right around the end of the first round. That's when you'll see a couple of guys drafted. I think 5 is a good number. I actually think that we'll probably see, and again, it's not hating, but I think we'll see 2 of the ACC players going in the first round.
Wow.
For me, it's actually Filipowski is one of them. And I am actually on the Bub Carrington train. I mean, if we're talking Bub Carrington, he's kind of a head scratcher for me, but in a good way. I mean, we were talking about Bub Carrington. Like I said, he's out of Pitt. I just like his game. He has a 6'8" wingspan. I mean, 6'3". The mid-range game, he's got a good handle. I mean, the handles are there for him. He's a shot maker. I like the way he plays. He can squeak into the first round, I think. But again, the ACC, it wasn't really a dominant conference this year. I mean, there was nothing about the ACC. Like, not at all. There was nothing sexy about it.
And you know what? Just for you, Rudy, Harrison Ingram could sneak into the first round.
I don't think so. I'm a Tar Heel guy, but I don't even see Harrison Ingram getting into the first round.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy he has to be a good fit for somebody.
Yeah.
And they have to be willing to take the chance on him. But I mean, what he did at UNC last year, I thought was fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He has a chance to get in. I don't know if he does. I think he's a second rounder from what I have him. Derrick, we got to get to you, man. Darth Odium, Lord of Abomination. That is John. We always love that screen name. Do you think Bronny James will actually be drafted, Derrick? This is a head scratcher because I say
man. I would say no ordinarily, but today times have changed. I mean, somebody's going to take a chance on him, I believe. Just because of some of the things that they've read from some of the coaches that he played for at USC. Everyone knows that Bronny didn't have a lot of stats when he played, but he also had some other things that, didn't go so well, like with the heart issue and things like that, could have possibly held him back. So I played with a guy, Jack Haley, rest in peace, Jack, with the New Jersey Nets, UCLA guy who averaged about 5 points a game. But sometimes that doesn't translate. It doesn't necessarily translate to the NBA. Some guys will be better when the bright lights come on in the NBA. And I think somebody's willing to take a gamble on Bronny James. So I'm going to say yes, he's going to get drafted in the second round.
Yeah, I've got him as a second round pick, probably in the 50s somewhere. Ben, do you possibly see him going in the first round just because the team's reaching for Bronny, only because of the possibility, looking at you, Dallas Mavericks, of LeBron possibly joining their team, even though he said he's not. And the whole JJ Redick thing is probably assuming that he's not. But do you see a team going Bronny James late in the first?
No, this is not a draft where you can afford to throw a first round slot at somebody because you think there's an outside chance you're going to be able to get LeBron to sign with you or force his way out in a trade, whatever, to get to your city for a year of rental of LeBron James, which a year of LeBron James really at any age is awesome, and it will certainly do things for your ticket sales. But Bronny James is not a first-round talent, certainly not this year even. But like Derrick alluded to, he had the heart issue. There were a lot of games he didn't play. I think he only came back a little before conference play, I want to say. And as you can see, like he wasn't really putting up much stats on what ended up being kind of a bad USC team.
Yeah.
At least in the Pac-12. And, I think for him, part of leaving was, I'm Bronny James. I don't have anything to lose. If I don't get drafted, I'll sign a two-way somewhere. Worst comes to worst, I can go find something else to do with all of the connections my dad has in every industry known to man. And he'll be just fine. Or, it was, I do think I'm good. I think the heart thing is behind me. I feel confident now. I'll play well in workouts. I'll look good in workouts. Someone's just got to take a shot at me.
Yeah, that's kind of where everybody's sitting with Bronny.
Rudy, can I say something about that? Now, here's the question mark I have because, Ben, I don't know if you saw, Rich Paul said there's not going to be any two-way deals. So that right there, could hurt his draft stock. So that's why it's kind of hard for me. It was hard for me to answer because when Rich Paul said there's going to be no two-way deals, that tells me that Bronny might be off the table for some teams completely. And I'm like you guys, I don't believe you just throw away these draft picks today, Rudy, because if you look at OKC and Utah and guys like, Danny Ainge and these people, they're stocking up draft picks. And these draft picks are becoming more valuable than ever. So I don't think someone's just going to throw Bronny into the first round. And second round is questionable with Rich Paul talking like that. But I still say someone's going to take a chance on him because you would hate to look back and say, oh, boy, if we only knew then what we know now. So I think somebody's going to take a gamble.
And that's the thing. You brought up the point where I was going to go with Rich Paul saying that's what it kind of makes me feel like he's going to go at the end of the first because it's guaranteed money in the first round. And I think that's why he may have some kind of guarantee that he's going to go late in the first, maybe 28, 29 there. A team may trade up from the second round back into the first just to get him because of the no two-way deal. I mean, it seems like Rich Paul's going to guarantee him some money and not a two-way contract. So that's where the reach comes in. And I feel like you might see a team come in there, like I said, 28, 29, 30, and draft Bronny James, which you're right. I fully agree with both you guys. It's a very incompetent move to draft Bronny James anywhere in the first. And even in the second round, I'm still questioning it. No, the stats were never there. I understand he had the health issue, but you're basically drafting him based off of his last name when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
That's what
Rudy, Rudy, he said, and that's where I gave him some respect. He said he doesn't want to be drafted because of his dad. He wants to be drafted on his own merits. And, some of these teams, I think the combine might have helped him a little bit. If you remember, when he first went to the combine, they were talking about the first day when he was shooting the three-pointers, how well he shot the ball. But as the camps went on, the talk started to die down a little bit. So that makes me think that maybe some people were just, keeping it to themselves. They liked him and they didn't want to say anything so other teams would be interested, or either teams were kind of turned off and they felt that he needed to go back to college for another year. So it's a tricky situation all the way around.
Yeah, it definitely is very, very tricky with Bronny James here. Real quick, Ben, Kevin McCullough to Senate Hill at 35. Real quick analysis of that. What do you think of that?
I mean, I'd like that. I think Kevin McCullough is a really nice player. He's an older player. So if you have concerns about age, it may not be great. But if you see age as he's a bit of a veteran already, he's got more experience under his belt. You're talking about a guy who won a national championship with Kansas as well. I mean, he's kind of seen it all. He's played in probably the toughest conference in the country for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And, he does a little bit of everything. You'd like to see his three-point shooting be a little better, but he does just a little bit of everything. He's a really nice kind of what baseball calls a five-tool player. He'll get out there. He's run offense a little bit at Kansas. He He can spot up, shoot for the most part. He drives. He's a good motor guy too. He seems to be in the right place at the right time. I would not mind that at 35 at all. It may even at that be an undervalue, because I think there are going to be teams that like him late in the first round, early second.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. We got one more. Let me get to this, Derek, but we can do it on the flip side here. Which point guard might be drafted in the second round that people might be able to keep an eye on, Derek? So we'll let you think about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll let you think about that one. We're going to take a quick commercial break. On the way back, I'm going to reveal my top 12 on my mock draft, so that way I can get laughed at by Derek and Ben here. We'll get Derek's answer to the point guard in the second round. Plus, the guys, tune in now. We're doing our tribute to Derrick Gervin here on his UTSA Hall of Fame selection. So when we get back, we're going to end the show with all of that great stuff. Keep those comments coming. Again, draft night's coming up in a couple of days. We're going to be with you all night. MCS General Contracting, La Cocina Food Truck, powering Sweep the League. We'll be right back, guys. A family is just like your home. It starts with a great foundation. MCS General Contracting can make sure your foundation is off to a perfect start. Whether you're wanting to build a pool, expand a patio, or build a driveway, MCS General Contracting should be your only call. They provide top-notch customer service and will stand by their work 100% of the time. Why trust the rest when you can just call the best? Build the best foundation now for your home and your family, because a good foundation is the perfect start to a happy life. Contact MCS General Contracting today at 210-774-9155. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Living in South Texas, we all love to eat, especially tacos. Oh boy, La Cocina Taco Truck should be your only stop every time. They are just a short drive away, located at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. There is no order too big or small for the staff to handle. Whether it's the ever so popular street tacos all the way to the amazing quesadillas, La Cocina will satisfy your appetite, guaranteed. Head over to see them at 283 West San Antonio Street in New Braunfels, Texas. Make that short drive so you can be satisfied at La Cocina Taco Truck. Proud sponsors of Sweep the League. Yeah, shout out to La Cocina Food Truck, MCS General Contracting, Power Sweep the League. They're going to be our sponsors also for the NBA Draft this coming Wednesday night. Again, we'll be with you for the pre-show. We'll be with you for the actual show, only first round, and then we'll give you the post-show as well. We'll even probably start to look at the 2025 draft, which is massively good. This is a superstar type draft in 2025. We'll get into that late on Wednesday night for a little bit. Again, that is Wednesday night, powered by MCS General Contracting and La Cocina Food Truck. All right, guys, real quick, we got a little bit of time left on the show. Let's go ahead and share the mock draft that I've got with the top 12 picks. And I've got Zach Edey coming up. So these are the guys here. Right now, I've got Donovan Clingan 1, Washington taking Sarr, the Rockets taking Reece Archier, Spurs taking Castle, Reed Shepherd, which I do not like him in Detroit, but I will take him there at Detroit only because I feel they get the hype behind Shepherd. I feel Dalton Connect would be better in Detroit. Matas Buzelis, I love him there in Charlotte. Cody Williams is going to be a trailblazer. Tejan Saloon is going to run with his buddy Victor. Dalton Connect, probably the steal in the first round at Memphis, is going to make them super deadly. Devin Carter, the biggest riser, going to the Utah Jazz. Rob Dillingham, because the Bulls are probably going to need a point guard, and Dillingham's the guy they're going to be looking at. And Zach Edey for Oklahoma City. Why did I take him there? Because you need a big man alongside Chet Holmgren. That's where I have Zach Edey going. And you know, the good thing is Oklahoma City is so good right now, they can afford to work with Edey in that lineup. So that is my top 12 in the NBA draft right now. Guys, break it down. You want to go with Ben or Derek first? Whichever guy wants to go first. Break down this top 12 here.
Rudy,
Derek,
I like
please.
the 12. I like the 12. I like the 11. How about that? The 12th would be my question mark, Edey. And the only reason I say that is because Oklahoma City is a team that likes to get up and down the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Edey, they become more of a slow down half court team, more getting into their sets. And I don't know how Shea and these guys like that, Dort. These are guys that like to get out and run the floor. We know they got rid of they traded Giddey for Alex Caruso. And Caruso is also a guy that likes to get up and down the floor. So I would question the Edey pick, but I think all your other picks were on time, on point. And as far as Connect being your surprise at the guy that you think is ready now, I agree with that as well, because, we've talked about Mr. Connect, and I just thought at Tennessee he was a fantastic player. And I think out of the draft, he has one of the highest ceilings of all.
Couldn't agree with you more. I'd say less. So I think I'm in agreement with most of this top 12. I think with the exceptions of Zach Edey and maybe Devin Carter, maybe Tajane Salon. Because you have Buzelis going at 6, so the Spurs can't really take him at 8. I probably would have gone with Connect at 8.
Oh, me too. I fully would on Connect in silver and black. I just feel like if you're not going to move on from Keldon Johnson or Devin Vassell or any of those guys, it's going to be crowded there. And I think that, to be honest, I think the Jeremy Sohan part is going to scare me some. And that's where Saloon, I think, is more of a better fit than Sohan is. That's just my opinion right now from what I've seen from Jeremy.
Yeah. I think even with the injury, Nikola Topic ends up somewhere in this top 12.
Yes.
I actually wouldn't mind him at 8 but only if the Spurs don't take a guard at 4. I don't think they can take 2 guards at 4 and 8. I think they need a wing somewhere. And Dalton Connect can be that wing. It might just be a little bit of a small wing, but he can be that. Because I think, yes, they need to get a point guard in this draft somewhere, but I think they then need to go out and they need to shore up the position in free agency. And maybe it means getting Trey Jones's brother, Tyus Jones, to come over. Who knows? A lot of people have been very excited about that prospect. 1, because they're brothers, and 2, Tyus Jones was actually quite good this year. He was very enjoyable to watch and was a great facilitator of the offense. So, I can't hate this top 12 too much. I do think Zach Edey is a bit of a reach at 12. I might have Nikola Topic somewhere in there, but you can make a case for Ron Holland being in there. You can make a case for Jacoby Walter being somewhere in there. But I wouldn't like
Tobias Harris being somewhere in there.
Yes,
make Tobias Harris go back into the draft.
Tobias.
Well, have you guys heard? His dad used to be my agent, Ben, and I've heard some rumblings lately. About them maybe giving up their eighth pick, and possibly bringing in Tobias because he's a proven guy, and we know what he's capable of. He's had some situations that might have not panned out, like in Philadelphia, but he was still putting up 17 points a game, and he's a locker room guy, and that's why he's so many teams that like Tobias. So I just thought about that move there. I think he would fit fantastic in San Antonio.
You heard it here first, man. If it happens, if it happens, you heard it here first. With Derrick Gervin saying that the possibilities of Tobias Harris being involved in a package deal at number 8 coming to San Antonio. Which Tobias Harris is a veteran, and he can definitely help this team right off the bat.
Riding on that hypothetical, I think it would be pretty hilarious to see who the 76ers then choose at 8, because they have a pretty set roster, I'd say, and Joel Embiid is clearly your guy, and you have plenty of star power around him. Who then do you draft, and are they going to have the patience to develop this player?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun night. Regardless, it's going to be a fun night. And thinking about it with the Edey pick, at 12, I probably would have even taken Topic there. They could use another point guard. They have Cason Wallace. SGA, you could have him play a little bit off guard. Now, you've got.
Well, they did go out and get Alex Caruso.
They do have Caruso. That is true. So, I mean, even a toe pick there makes a little sense because you allow him to recover off of an injury. Again, Oklahoma City, they're just flipping coins, man. They're putting 12 cards on the deck, and whoever they pick, they're just throwing over. They're just taking it. They don't really need so much there in Oklahoma City. They need size, and that's kind of the only reason why I said if they pick the pick, they may go with, Walter from Baylor. I mean, there's some different guys that they could go with for size there. I just figured everybody's talking Edey. Why not take Edey right there? Before we go, man, we got to do the Derrick Gervin thing here. But, Derrick, did you happen to get a second-rounder point guard in there that you might think would be there?
I actually saw a few, Rudy, and I got to tell you, one is KJ Simpson from Colorado.
Okay.
But for me, I'm sold on Tristan Newton from Connecticut because of his size.
Yeah.
And I think the Spurs, we tried it with Trey Jones. I like Trey, but as we know, some teams kind of went at him. They going at some of these smaller guards. But yeah, when you got a guy, another champion, and 6'4", 192 pounds, I think Tristan Newton would be a good pick. I think he's a guy that you give a couple years and see how he pans out. I don't think he would be something that maybe they would put into the lineup right away. But when you have young guys like that, you give them a chance, just basically like they did with Mr. Blake Wesley. And so that would be the pick for me. That would be definitely the pick for me is Tristan Newton.
Cool. Last question or last comment before we get to the Tribute Series question, fellas. Recent misses by Spurs in draft. Can we trust them with these picks? Could have had Maxey, Halliburton, Sengun. Could have had Bane with Keldon, took Luka. I'm a bit worried with these chances. I know the draft picks for the Spurs lately have been head scratchers for the absolute most part. I mean, I'm assuming this Wembanyama guy is going to work out. I'm thinking he's going to work out finally for the Spurs. But I understand a lot of the other picks. I mean, you see what you're getting out of Keldon Johnson. I feel he's already kind of hit his ceiling already. I feel Devin is pretty much scratching the surface on the ceiling right now. Nothing bad. I mean, they're still going to put up numbers. They're still going to put up great stats and be, beneficial to the Spurs. But I think, you got two top 10 picks. You're bound to hit on one of them. I feel you're going to hit on one of these guys in the top 10. So great question, Wesley. Appreciate everybody joining in here. So before we go, man, Derrick, we love you here at Sweep the League, man. Ben hasn't even seen this. Nobody has seen this except myself and Shemaya. So with everything that's been going on, Derrick, you were elected into the UTSA Hall of Fame, the Athletic Hall of Fame, the first superstar of UTSA. And us here at Sweep the League, we kind of got together, and we also had a couple of other people, such as Tim Morrow from the San Antonio Zoo, who's a UTSA graduate. We all come together, and we did a little something for you, man. So here you go. This is tribute to Derrick Gervin and his UTSA Hall of Fame induction.
Wow.
Hi, everybody. It's Barry Bess from 9:30 a.m. The Answer here in San Antonio, KLUP. And from everybody here at Salem Media San Antonio, we want to congratulate Derrick Gervin on being inducted into the UTSA Athletics Hall of Fame. Very well deserved. We loved having you on the radio here a few years back. And, of course, we'd love to have you back on whenever you can, because then we can introduce you as Derrick Gervin, UTSA Hall of Famer. Congratulations, bud.
What's up, Derrick? Hey, this is your boy Rock. Shout out to you getting into the UTSA Hall of Fame, man. Long overdue. You're a great guy, man. I mean, I wish I was born early enough to see you play, but I always hear great stories about you. You're just a class act off the court, just in general, and I loved always working with you. I mean, we still do, but just gotta get back on it. But once again, man, congratulations. Well-deserved, man, and I can't wait to see you get inducted in October. Take care.
Hey, what's up, Derrick? It's Shemaya. Just like everybody else is saying, congratulations to you. We're so happy for you here at Sweep the League. With family. We salute you today. And the last thing, man, birds up, baby.
Derrick, congratulations on making the UTSA Hall of Fame. Been long overdue, but this October, you're going to be inducted into UTSA Hall of Fame. Huge congratulations from myself and my family to you. It's an honor to have known you for as many years as we have, as many years as I have. We've had so many highs together as really good friends, consider each other really best friends. To be honest with you, I consider you a brother to me. And we've been through a lot of highs. We've been through a couple of lows, but we've been able to lean on each other through everything, through thick and thin. And that's something that I can't ever take for granted, man. But most importantly, congratulations again on the UTSA Hall of Fame induction. Brilliant college career, great NBA career, a magnificent overseas career. Basketball runs deep in the Gervin blood by your accomplishment as well as your family's accomplishments in the game of basketball. So again, congratulations from myself and everybody from Sweep the League. You continue to do you, man. One day you're going to make it in the media world. You have dreams and goals to make it there next. Everything you've accomplished so far, we have no doubt you're going to make it that high, sir. Love you, man. Congratulations again.
Hey, Derrick, this is Jeff Garcia over here at Ken's 5 and host of Locked On Spurs. Just want to say a huge congratulations. Kudos to you for being elected to the UTSA Athletics Hall of Fame. Well deserved. Not only what you did on the court for UTSA, but what you continue to do off the court for San Antonio, helping Rudy out, helping everybody out in San Antonio. You are doing it well. Keep it up. Once again, congratulations to you. Go pop some champagne. Once you're inducted, we'll be celebrating with you, buddy.
Hey everyone, this is Coach Gio from Sweep the League, and I want to give a big shout out to my main man, Derrick Gervin, on making it to the UTSA Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Derrick. In the words of LeBron James, it's about damn time. Derrick was the first superstar in that school's history, put that school on the map, and his legacy is going to continue on forever and ever. Congratulations again, Derrick, to you and your family.
Hey, Derrick, another UTSA alumni here. Tim, birds up. I just wanted to say congratulations on your recent induction into the UTSA Sports Hall of Fame. I know you had a great career at UTSA and all over the world, but what I really want to thank you for is helping to lay the foundation for all the things that have happened at UTSA athletics in the last few years. I'm sure you're seeing it. I'm sure you're feeling a part of it, and I'm sure you're very proud of what's happening. But once again, congratulations on your induction and enjoy it with your family.
Hi, Derrick. Sherilyn here. Just wanted to say congratulations.
Wow.
There you go, Derrick. We put together a little tribute, and we appreciate everything you do for Sweep the League, man. But most importantly, congratulations from us at Sweep the League, your family, everybody that's been a part of Sweep the League, man. We salute you, man. In October, you go into UTSA's Hall of Fame. And just like John Madden once said, when you're in the Hall of Fame and you have those busts and jerseys, I just imagine everyone talking in there, all the legends, man. You're a part of the Hall of Fame class, man. Congratulations.
Man, Rudy, I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry on the air, man. I'm gonna try not to. Wow. I want to thank every single one of you, man. Starting off with Barry. Oh man, unbelievable. This is something that I didn't expect at all. I'm just finding out about my tribute tonight. And man, I'm so honored, but I am going to say this, and I'm sorry about getting a little emotional. My mom passed in 2019, and Rudy, so for her not to be here is, I kind of missed that part, but I know she's smiling down on me. And man, I'm so excited, and I want to thank every one of you sincerely. I'm sorry to get emotional, but this is a legacy. We talk about legacies. And I want to thank Lisa Compost, last but not least, the UTSA athletic director, for making this happen. I'm a happy man, and I'm blessed, and I just want to thank every one of you.
For sure, man. We are proud of you, man. And, Ben and I have worked with one guy, Michael DeLeon, who has passed, a year or so ago, and me and Michael, Michael was a big part of Sweep the League. So I know deep down inside, Michael was looking down, smiling on you, and congratulating you as well, man, because he was one of our first guys from Project Spurs. He was the Project Spur along with Jeff Garcia, both those guys. But Michael was a part of Sweep the League in the beginning by helping us on the radio. You were a part of it. So was Michael, man. So again, we congratulate you. And man, yeah, that's right. It is right there. I love you guys.
Hey, man, I don't. For me to even wear this shirt, as you know, I had my own show at one time, and I didn't wear it, but to be able to wear this, I mean, I wear it proudly, man. You talk about me going to the UTSA Hall of Fame. You guys are Sweep the League Hall of Fame in my mind. And so I sincerely thank you. Thank you. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate it, man. Everything you do for us. And, on that note, we're going to close it out tonight. We're going to be back on Wednesday for the draft night with Ben. Ben's going to be joining us Wednesday night. Derrick Gervin should be joining us as well. We'll see who else we can get for Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, guys, we're going to be talking mostly Spurs. Jeff Garcia is going to be with us tomorrow night. He's going to kind of give us a little bit on the background of Spurs, maybe some talks that they're having, anything like that. But don't forget, Wednesday night's the night. You've got myself, you've got Ben, I'm sure you got Derrick. Try to get Coach Gio on. We're going to try to get more people on as well. I think Jeff's going to pop in when the Spurs are picking on Wednesday night as well. So it's going to be a massive draft show. And also the prizes, we're looking at more than likely some Lids gift cards, but one lucky fan, because we've got sponsors, we like to give, what we give, we like to give everything back here at Sweep the League. So for just being a part of Sweep the League and being subscribed, you got to subscribe to the YouTube page. We're going to give a little bit of cold, hard cash on Wednesday night, draft night. So not only are the first rounders are going to get paid, some lucky person's going to get paid a little bit here as well. So join us on draft night. It's going to be happening on Wednesday. Shout out to everybody. Again, shout out to Ben Bornstein. Ben, appreciate you joining, Ben. We're going to see you on Wednesday for sure. Derrick, again, congratulations on the haul. You got your tribute. It won't be the first. I mean, it's not the first. It's not going to be the last. You got more stuff coming in here. We're all going to join you in October, man. We're all going to be celebrating that day when you go into UTSA Hall of Fame. So for Ben, for Derrick, it's Rudy Campos Sr. This is Sweep the League. Until we see you guys again tomorrow, remember, draft day is right around the corner. We will see you guys here very, very soon.